the unit where I'm at is at a perfect location where my kids can reach me at any time.
But we
Oh,
offered you an apartment in the same complex.
Yeah, but that was the downstairs one, which was just as bad.
No,
all right. Well, either
I
way,
had one to
all right,
redo
stop,
that we
stop,
could give you.
stop. Our first matter is, guess what? Versus Alex Rosario. Their manager, Josie Ledger Moreno, is here. The esteemed Tyrone Fleeman is here from the Bradshaw Law Firm, and Alex Rosario is here. We've done this, I think, recently, but let's go through this again. This is filed as a demand for non-payment of rent, and the file number here is 241736. Mr. Rosario, I think I told you these things before, but this is a new case, so let me tell you again. You're here on a landlord-tenant case for failing to pay rent. Your landlord wants you to pay the rent or move. In such a hearing, you have a right to have an attorney. If you cannot afford one, you may ask to see if legal aid will represent you, and they'll be joining us here in a little bit. She's, I think, in consultation with Mr. Spiegel on some cases that are coming up a little bit later. You have a right to have the case heard here in St. Joseph County where the property is located. You have the right to demand a jury trial. If you want a jury trial, you must tell the court here at this first hearing or make the demand in writing within 5 days using the jury demand form and paying the $50 jury demand fee, unless the judge grants you a waiver. If your landlord has asked you to be evicted from a residential property because you haven't paid rent, you may be able to get assistance from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, the local coordinated entry agency, the Housing Assessment and Resource Agency, which is Neighborhood Inc., or a federal help from homeless veterans program. The law requires that I tell you all this, and we sent that information with you in the original summons and complaint packet. But right now, none of these agencies, except for the veterans perhaps, have much in the way of funding. You do not need a judgment against you to get help from those places. A copy of the summons and complaint are sufficient, and you have received that. You may be able to reach an agreement with the landlord by going through a local community dispute resolution program, and ours it's called, it's mediation, St. Joe's. Anyway, we could refer it to mediation if both parties are interested, and so far that has never happened. Citizens Mediation Authority, Inc. You may be able to reach an agreement with the landlord that means the case will get dismissed. If that happens, we would either assist you or the attorney would file what's called a conditional order of dismissal. Good morning, Mr. Fleeman. Thank you for covering our cases this morning.
Good morning.
What's the status here?
Your Honor, I am looking at a balance $3,350 in rent, court cost of $197.14 for a total $3,547.14. That was as of yesterday or maybe the day before.
Mr. Rosario, what's your position?
My position is I kind of disagree with some of those charges, especially since the original agreement was for my restroom to be fixed before September. It was not fixed until after September when I went to rehab. Not to mention, they only covered up the problem. They did not take out the rotted wood. They just covered it up, which I have a big problem with, especially since I have children that come in coughing, and my ex-wife is accusing my apartment of making them sick still. So
we went through all that. Mr. Rosario, I suspect you'd move if you had somewhere to move to. You don't really.
I really don't have a place. I am on a wait list. I am on a wait list on some housing right now, but I really don't have that. I mean, I'm close. I'm really on the top of it, but they still haven't called me yet.
Well, or move to a different unit. My question was perhaps maybe this unit needed to be vacated and completely rectified. But Ms. Moreno, what do you know about this?
And Judge, actually, if I may jump in a second, the idea of moving to another unit was offered back in the other case. That offer
Yes.
was turned down, and so they they undertook to fix the issues in that unit. I have photographs of the brand new wood being, as put down on the floor, the brand new wet tolerant drywall being put up on the wall. What Mr. Rosario is talking about is a slight dip in the floor that's basically a dip in the floor from the structure, not from the lack of proper underlayment or anything like that.
There.
So I think.
All right, well, stop.
But hang on a second. Mostly it's in another case. Sorry.
All right. Well, I was going to ask him to stop. Okay, then put up or shut up. You're not paying your rent. It's about 3 months in arrears. There is a proper way to put your rent into escrow if you dispute what's being done, and you haven't done that. You just haven't paid rent. And so it's one thing to not pay rent, it's another to complain about the condition of your apartment. So if you want to have a hearing regarding that, I'll do an escrow order and you can pay the rent to me, and then I'll hold on to it until we see what's what. I did recall, as Mr. Fleeman mentioned, there was an offer to move to a different unit. I don't remember why you didn't avail yourself of that.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Yes.
The unit where I'm at is at a perfect location where my kids can reach me at any time. I believe that they are not in a safe household, so they can just run up wherever I want, whenever they can, and it's right there.
But we offered you an apartment in the same complex.
Yeah, but that was the downstairs one, which was just as bad, Josie.
No,
All right, well, either way,
I had one to
all right,
redo that we could give you.
Stop. All right, you need to either move or pay your rent. We may need to have a hearing regarding whether there's some deficiency. What is the deficiency that you're alleging? You haven't paid the rent since July. So we now have August, September, October, and November. I don't think it has to do with the quality of the apartment. I think it has to do with your ability to pay the rent. But what is the defect that you're complaining about?
Well, the defect I'm complaining about is there is still a big hole on the ground. Okay, so they did put a big piece of what seems to be particle board on the bottom, but they didn't caulk any of the trimming. They did not do anything that would prevent further water damage. It looks nice. I'm not gonna lie, it looks nice, but you know, my main concern is everything else underneath the niceness.
So that's why you haven't paid your rent in 4 months?
Well, no. I haven't paid my rent in 4 months. One, because I was in rehab. I went back to rehab again for a period of time. And I have been looking for work as well. So, but I can come up with the money. I did it before the last time. If you don't recall that, Judge.
I do recall.
Yeah.
All right. So
Judge,
I guess
if I may make one comment just for the record, and I think procedurally this is kind of important. All of what Mr. Rosario was talking about is barred by res judicata. That other case had a provision for dealing with issues like this, and there has been no action in that other case. There's been no notice in that other case of any of what's being discussed now. I think all of that is barred as a defense in this action.
I have been talking to Meg from Legal Action. I would wish to talk to her first, if that would be okay, Your Honor.
She's not here right now, so you're gonna have to call her. The real story is you aren't working, you've been in rehab, and you can't afford to pay your rent, and you're using these other items as an excuse to not pay the rent. The fact that your floor might leak sometime in the future is not violating any covenant of habitability to live in this apartment. They also offered you a different apartment and you declined it. So this is just a situation where you're not able to pay the rent. But you can call Meg from Legal Aid later today. She's in consultation. She sent me an email first thing this morning, and she said she might be late. So I'm going to continue this, Matt, till next Friday. All right, Mr. Osario, absent any other issue, if I make a finding that you owe 4 months rent and costs, you'd have 10 days from November 15th to pay that amount, which will be $3,547.14. If you consult with Ms. Bauer and she files some sort of answer or defense, we can explore that further, in which case I would probably order an escrow order that you at least pay November's rent to the court.
Okay.
But what you're raising, at least what I determined here, doesn't look like it's sufficient to violate any covenant of habitability. But you're right, you did come up with the rent the last time. We're going to still be in the month of November, but we'll address this further next Friday morning at 9:35. I'll be here. Mr. Bradshaw will be here, and Josie will be here. So we'll see where we are. I will mention to Ms. Bauer when she comes in that you did wish to speak to her, but just go ahead and call her at her office.
Okay, will do, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.